Hello, welcome everyone. We are thrilled to have you here today for our product roadmap webinar. Thank you for spending some time with us. We are going to be sharing some exciting new features that we have planned for the upcoming quarters. For those newer to Front, it's great to have you on board. Front is a customer operations platform, and we enable teams just like you to streamline communication and deliver exceptional customer service at scale. So let me introduce your hosts for today. Leading our roadmap discussion is Patrick Lago from our solutions engineering team. And I'm Helena, your co-host. I lead our product education team at Front. Our team oversees Front Academy and Front Community. Let me give you a visual up on the screen of those things. Front Academy includes our certification program and our weekly live office hour. So if you didn't know, you can join us every week with your questions. And Community is where you can connect with other users on the next slide. Yep. And you can crowdsource ideas as well as get answers from the Front team directly. So here's the plan for today. Patrick will present our upcoming roadmap. You can drop any questions into the Q&A section. Please don't use the chat, use the Q&A if you have questions about the product. And he will answer as many as he can live after the presentation. Any questions we don't get to will still be posted and answered in Front Community. So we'll also share the recording of today's session there for you to revisit or share with your team. And before we get into the details, let's each share with the group, Patrick, one of our, whoop, that's okay. There's probably something else going on in the background. So Patrick, now that I have your attention, let's please share each with the group one of our favorite tips about Front that we really love. So Patrick, let's start with you. What is your favorite tip?
Yes, my favorite tip, and sorry for the extra noise, everyone. That was my Spotify playing Taylor Swift.
No worries.
Apologies for that. My favorite tip or feature with Front, this is a bit of a spoiler for our presentation today, but is our recent chat to email transition function. So really huge improvement for our support team and one that I've personally been very excited about as of late.
Oh, very nice. Okay. And I'm just pulling up also the help doc for that feature you're talking about. I'm putting it into the chat so people can see what that's all about. Please feel free to click into that and see what Patrick's talking about. My favorite feature, not favorite, there's a lot, but one of the things that I use a lot is to take a message in Slack and then send it into Front, which then creates a shared conversation in Front. And then now I can assign it out, collaborate, all the good things that Front can do. I do this a lot whenever our Slack channels have really great info that I want to capture because Slack passes by so quickly. Everything's synchronous. So especially when I used to manage our help center, I would always be sending little cool tidbits that people were talking about or that I found out in Slack, and I would send it over to a shared inbox, and then now I can use it as my to-do list item. So yeah, that's a cool little tip as well. I'll post the help center doc for that little feature. And with that, Patrick, take us into the exciting world of Front product roadmap. Over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Selena. And thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar today. Really excited to be getting into everything on our roadmap. And before we do hop into our recent and upcoming improvements, we do like to provide this safe harbor statement. So everything we are going to be presenting today is planned on our product roadmap and is a summary of our general product direction. And though this does not happen often, certain features, functionality, release dates, and pricing can change. But let's get to the fun stuff and hop into our recent updates. So ahead of discussing the features that we are planning to be releasing in the next few quarters, we wanted to highlight a few of our recent updates that are available to you all today. Great. And before we hop into this first feature, I first wanted to start by quickly getting you all acquainted with our slide layouts. So with every slide, front and center, you'll see the feature that we're discussing during this slide with an image or graphic. At the top right of the slide, you'll see the status of the feature, meaning whether it's live and available to you all today, if it's in beta testing currently, or if it's planned for a Q2 or Q3 release of this year. Also, in the bottom left, you'll see what plans the feature is available on or planned to be available on as well. With all that said, now let's hop into one of our most exciting rollouts as of recent, which is AI answers for chatbots. You can now incorporate AI answers steps into your chatbot flows to instantly resolve customer inquiries through the power of AI, which is all informed by your front knowledge-based content. Once an answer is provided by AI, your chat visitors will have the ability to indicate whether that inquiry was resolved. Based on their resolution response, admins can then configure through their chatbots the subsequent steps to be taken. So you can think of those subsequent steps as closing the conversation out if the AI answer resolves the inquiry. If it doesn't, then you can do things like escalate that conversation to your support team. Now, AI answers can be purchased today as an add-on and is priced on a per resolution basis. Next feature we'll be talking about is save flows. With save flows, admins can create and save a series of common steps that are generally repeated throughout your chatbot flows. That save flow can then be inserted into the chatbot flow wherever it is needed. I'll say this is a huge time saver for those admins or the people who are managing these chatbots, because they don't necessarily need to manually recreate or update these common steps now that we do have save flows available for our chatbots. And I know the person at front who's responsible for managing our chatbots at front, he was singing his praises once this feature was released, just because this saved them so much time and made managing that chatbot much easier. Great. And I gave a little plug to this feature at the beginning of the webinar. But another addition to our chat experience is the chat to email transition. And like I said, this is personally one of my favorites that we've recently released, because before becoming a solutions engineer at Front, then I worked on our support team at Front for a year and a half. And historically, when I was working on a chat conversation, and if that chat conversation turned into more of a complex issue that needed to be resolved by our technical support engineers, then I would need to escalate that conversation to email. And that was overall a clunky process. It required a lot of copying and pasting, extra steps, lots of clicks. Now, with the release of this chat to email transition feature, you can complete all of those steps with a click of a button by just saying reply via email. So this was one I was really excited about when our product team did release it. Our final update to the chat experience was improving the clarity in our chat inboxes. Though we previously updated the front chat agent experience, we saw an opportunity to further improve distinction between customer messages, agent messages, and internal comments to improve efficiency and confidence in responding. When you look at a chat conversation, it's very clear it's a chat conversation versus those email conversations you may be working side by side with when managing your inboxes in front. So a lot more clarity around this is explicitly a chat conversation for your team. Now, switching gears to knowledge base, we now have a knowledge base API that enables your developers to manage and update your knowledge base content at scale. You can do things like get knowledge base articles, create new articles, create new categories, and even delete them if need be. But you can be a lot more programmatic when managing your knowledge base through these new API endpoints that we've launched. Next, we've added customization capabilities to your CSAT surveys. This current iteration of changes focuses on allowing you all to customize the look and feel of the CSAT surveys. The new editor that has been introduced will allow you to customize a number of different items. But the most important items that you can customize are going to be the colors, so that being the background color of the CSAT survey, and then also the colors of the different buttons on the survey itself. You can also adjust the survey prompt. So I think you can be a lot more direct in terms of the type of feedback that you're looking for or what information you're hoping to gain from your customer. And then you can also change the answer field placeholder text, providing a bit more instruction on what information to provide. Finally, another thing I really like is you can upload now your company logo to the CSAT survey. So then again, just adding a lot more branding, personalization around the CSAT surveys that you are going to ultimately be sending to your clients. A new addition to analytics is going to be filtering reports by teammate groups. Users of analytics often want to see data for only a subset of their colleagues. So think of a support manager leading a particular team. It was previously a pain to have to select teammates one by one when creating an analytics view or generating that ad hoc report. But with the introduction of teammate groups and analytics, scoping reports to the teams you care about the most takes one click by just selecting their teammate group. One way you can really think about it, or like I like to say a bonus of this edition, is you really only need to manage the teammate group itself. If someone leaves or joins your team, you only have to update that corresponding teammate group and everything changes or is updated from there. It all just works. You don't necessarily need to manually fix all of your different analytics reviews, scheduled reports, exports, etc. Whenever your team revolves. Those will automatically update as your teammate groups update as well. So it really makes that management much easier. You don't have to manually select each teammate you want to see in your reports. Now, this is also going to be one of my favorites that I'm super excited about and that we are beta testing at this moment, which is going to be AI tagging. By leveraging AI tagging, your team can save time on manually applying tags or creating a number of different tagging rules based on different keywords, for example, message body, subject line, and more. And instead, let AI do the work for you. Our aim here is to provide better insights into your communication data to inform your team's decisions and planning, all with the power of AI. How this feature or workflow is going to work is for the tags that you'd like to incorporate into AI tagging, admin will create a description or a definition for each of those tags in the tag settings. So think of like a billing tag. A definition or description of that billing tag is any messages that reference refunds, invoices, things like that. Based on that definition, then AI will use those tag descriptions to suggest conversations that tag can be applied to. Tags can then be manually approved at first by admin. So AI will make that suggestion. The admin then approves whether or not that tag should be applied to the conversation. And once high enough confidence in the model is reached, that process is totally automated. An admin does not need to monitor or approve any further conversations and applications of tags. Rather, it's going to be taken care of by AI from there. So like I said, I think going to be a huge time saver in a great way for customers to unlock really, really powerful insights through AI tagging. For those not familiar with linked conversations, you're able to create and track follow-up conversations that are necessary to resolve an original request or an issue. So you can create that parent and child relationship with different conversations in front. We've now rolled out linked conversations for all channels, as previously this was a feature supported for email only. A new rule action we've also added is the create a draft rule action. If your team prefers to not send auto replies, but have a goal to speed up the time to send a reply, the create a draft rule action will enable your team to create a draft with message templates automatically based on specific trigger events and conditions. Once the rule triggers with a create a draft rule action, teammates will see that draft created with a message template. They can then make any necessary changes to that draft and hit send. So again, eliminate some of those extra steps of inserting the message templates if it's those common questions your team is used to getting. Rather, teammates can hit send, that message gets sent off quickly. And the final feature we'll be discussing in terms of our recent updates is going to be the dial pad channel enhancements. So the dial pad voice experience has been improved to enhance incoming call notifications, so you'll never miss a call. I really like this one because not only will you get a sound notification when a call comes in through dial pad, but in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you'll also get a little pop-up window indicating a call is coming in. So for worst case scenario, you forget to turn on your sound on your computer or laptop, you'll still get a visual notification that a call is coming in through dial pad and coming into front as well. We've also improved the call history logging for that dial pad channel for a clear understanding of call activity and easier collaboration on those conversations. And then finally, with dial pad's rollout of AI, through the dial pad channel, you'll get faster recaps of conversations with dial pad's AI call transcripts. So again, we already had our dial pad integration, but continuing to make some enhancements around that integration that our customers are finding a lot of value in. Now let's hop into what you're all here for, which is that upcoming roadmap. Here you can see our product roadmap focus areas for Q2. The different focus areas are team productivity, enhanced insights, low-code integrations, and chatbot automation. We're going to dive further into what each of these focus areas mean and the related features throughout this presentation. Like I just mentioned, our first focus area is team productivity. Our goal here is to boost efficiency with new automation and capabilities to help your team resolve issues faster. First, we're taking the same idea behind AI answers for chatbots and making it work for email. We know that not every team uses chat and that not every inquiry should be automated. So we'll be extending this same functionality to other channels, starting with email, but eventually including SMS, WhatsApp, and other channels as well. However, we know that email and chat are not the same. Customers have higher expectations for email because of the longer response times. While some emails might be okay to automate, we know many need a review from an agent before sending. So our initial version will focus on auto drafting email responses based on front knowledge base content that agents can review, edit if needed, and send. So similar to what the create a draft rule action does, you can see that draft, edit it, send it off from there. But instead of a message template, that draft is informed and created by AI. We'll eventually allow you to leverage other content sources, which we'll discuss later in this presentation, and also may allow for automation in the future. But then again, really, really excited to be incorporating these AI responses or drafts into emails, not just in the medium of chat. Next are enhancements to our existing AI Compose feature, which will include the ability to correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar. You can also adjust the voice or the tone of a text selection, so you can highlight certain text to adjust, or do the entire message if need be. And you can see that in the screenshot on this slide of they just selected a certain portion of the message, not the entire thing to refine with AI. Those different voices or tones that you can adjust with when leveraging the AI Compose feature is to change it to be more professional, friendlier, and more empathetic. You can also expand or condense messages. And then finally, translate a message to or from English with 15 supported languages. We're also reimagining how AI Summarize works with Front. The updated AI Summarize experience will have a universal summary so that every teammate sees the same content that's automatically updated every time a new message or a comment is added, keeping the entire team on the same page. These summaries are going to have a dedicated home, enabling each teammate to easily display or hide it as need be. In addition to these overall enhancements, we'll be extending the existing AI summarize functionality to include comments, which is a gap in today's experience. So teammates can get a summary of all of the behind-the-scenes collaboration on a customer inquiry or discussion. We've had the chance to test AI summary improvements internally at Front. And again, I'm a really big fan of this feature, as I don't need to manually remember to click the button in the comment bar to prompt an AI summary. Rather, it's all going to be proactive in updating and available for me at the conversation header at all times. So very helpful, easy way for me to get a glance of everything that's happened in the conversation, and really excited that we're incorporating comments in there as well too. Switching gears from AI, we're now going to focus on macros. Macros allow you to create shortcuts to supercharge your team's productivity. Teammates can move messages, tag conversations, notify other teammates, and more, all with a single click. This is most helpful when you want to quickly and accurately resolve conversations with complex processes. Macros are now available to customers on the latest growth, scale, and Premier plans. Additional improvements we are planning for macros are going to be, first, capturing teammate input. So this is going to be the ability to have a pop-up requesting input or information from a teammate so that they can provide context when escalating a conversation. This essentially acts as a form that you'd be filling out before completing a step. So give some more information on why I'm escalating a conversation, not just escalating the conversation itself. Second is updating third-party systems. Macros will be able to push data into any third-party systems, so you can do things like cancel orders, refund customers, and more. We will cover this in more detail later in the presentation as well. And finally, AI-powered macros. Soon, agents will be given AI-suggested macros to use based on conversation data, helping them to resolve those conversations faster. Next, let's focus on common use cases and benefits of macros. The first use case we'll be describing is handoffs to another team. Customers will often write into support about a wide variety of issues that need to be escalated to other teams. So, for example, escalating a refund request to a finance team. Handing the conversation over to the finance team, generally before macros, would require a lot of manual steps. You need to remove those support-specific tags, add the finance-specific tags, and type a summary to add context for the other team. It's all time-consuming, especially if you're having to do this action multiple times a day. Now, with macros, support agents can achieve all these steps with one click. Let's say you've created a send to finance macro. And what that'll do is remove the support-specific tags, add the escalated from support tag, add an internal comment, and move the conversation to the finance inbox. So I don't necessarily need to take 4 steps anymore. I click one button, all those steps are taken care of for me. Really helpful way to standardize those processes and ensure those handoffs are done in the correct way. The second use case I'll be mentioning is taking actions in third-party systems. So customer support agents will often need to take action in third-party systems. Like I said, examples can be to cancel orders, update travel bookings. Countless minutes are spent switching back and forth between different applications, whether it be in different windows, different tabs, things like that. Now, with macros, you can build powerful workflows to take action in any of your third-party systems, so agents never have to switch between apps. And with all that said, macros are going to enable your team to enforce consistent and scalable processes, increase team productivity, and reduce onboarding and training needs. And we have a targeted release date of these features for June 25th. The final update in our team productivity focus area is a ticketing workflow to manage internal action items. We're not launching tickets, but we're investing in ticketing style workflows for internal action items. And we're doing this by expanding the link conversations functionality to discussions. Link discussions will be applicable when the dependency of a conversation is not an external message, so sending an email to a third party or external party, but rather an internal to-do. Using discussions allows you to make an internal ticket for other teammates in front. This is our first step in enabling better support for ticketing within Front. So we're still early and interested in hearing any feedback on this feature and other ticketing related ones. While linking discussions with internal action items is the focus area of this slide, we'll also be redesigning the UI or UX for the conversation header. Some context on why we're thinking about doing this is today's conversation header is overloaded with too many different types of objects that are all at similar or same hierarchy. It's become very hard for users to discern what information is really important, and we've run out of usable real estate for new conversation level features. There are many high impact features waiting in the wings or the rafters for a more suitable entry point or home within the conversation real estate, such as macros, conversation stages, AI summaries, and more. In quarter two, we'll be updating the conversation header for the UI or UX to try to tackle current problems and provide suitable homes for those new, impactful conversation level features. Now we'll be highlighting our enhanced insights focus area. And the goal here is to enable your team to use the voice of your customer to inform business decisions and optimize staffing for performance. For this first enhancement, we're focused on the support leader and making it easier for them to do their jobs by bringing insights that were previously scattered across multiple reports into one new workload report. This new workload report is currently in beta, and it will allow you to answer questions like, is my team correctly staffed? When does my team have too much or too little work? When should I schedule shifts? And at what point is workload impacting my resolution or response times? We're also going to be adding more filtering and visualization capabilities so that our support leaders can create charts for their standard weekly reports more easily. Next is a new addition of a live dashboard. And this is a key capability that a lot of our competitors offer. The dashboard will provide a standard view for all help desks. Excuse me. This dashboard will provide a standard view for a help desk to provide a captain of the ship view of what's happening in real time. Team leads can know which teammates are overwhelmed, who is available, how many customers are currently waiting, and for how long they've been waiting for. And then team leads can use the information provided in this live dashboard to take action decisively and adapt on the go. Specific insights that are going to be provided in this report are the total open and unassigned conversations in your inboxes, longest unreplied conversation, number of open conversations assigned to each teammate, and quick links to the longest unreplied conversations that might need help and need to be prioritized by your team. And as you can see at the top of this screenshot of the live dashboard, this view can be filtered by specific inboxes. So you really only see the inboxes you care about the most in terms of this live dashboard. Now we're going to shift to our third focus area, which is low-code integrations to bring business-critical data into Front and accomplish more from your inbox without needing to switch between different tools. First, we're going to build on the success of dynamic objects and expand to a new connectors framework for integrations that allow you to not only pull important data from third-party systems into Front, but also take actions in other systems as well. And please keep in mind, while we are moving from dynamic objects to connectors as the broader name for this functionality, All current dynamic object functionality will still be supported under what we're calling app objects. Nothing is being taken away. We're only expanding on the current capabilities we have today. In addition to dynamically creating objects based on a reference and a comment or a message, so you can think of the reference as that order ID, shipment number, things like that, and how we operate with dynamic objects today, we're expanding this capability to go one step further. Even if that reference, being the order ID, shipment number, etc., itself is not in the message or comment, you can use other information from the conversation, let's say like the sender or recipient's email address, to look up information in another system and pull related records into front. As an example, let's compare how dynamic objects operate today versus how they'll operate after these improvements. Before or today, essentially, an order ID is found in a message. We then look up this order ID in your backend system and finally create an object for the order and attach it to the conversation. After these enhancements are rolled out and released, the new way you can operate is a message can come in without that order ID present. We can then use the sender's email address or other reference data to look up orders in your backend system, locate their order ID in the backend, then create an object for this order in front and attach it to the conversation. So again, we don't necessarily need that reference or order ID. We can use other information like the contact's email address. So you can still create the app objects dynamically based on those references in a message or comment. This is just expanding on the dynamic objects functionality to allow you to pull in records even without those IDs present. We're also expanding on the ways you can use third-party data to automate workflows like moving delayed orders to a high priority inbox or flagging when a vendor is not yet approved. Before, this was only possible with dynamic object data, where a record was created by detecting that reference ID or number in the conversation. And with these new enhancements, in addition to what we just talked about with the new ways to create objects and attach them to your conversations, we're also allowing you to do this entirely on the fly when you don't need to store this data in front. Rather than cluttering up the conversation with objects that are stored permanently, if you don't need to access this object faster, you can just make a one-off request in rules. You're also not limited to IDs or references found in the message or comment. You can use any conversation data like that sender's email address or an email address in the CC field as an example to look up data in the third-party system. So let's use an example from Highway. Highway wants to move all emails detected as fraud to a specific inbox location in front. You can think of this as like a quarantine inbox. This can be achieved with app requests and a rule. The steps to achieve this would be first, create a rule in a dynamic variable to extract the sender's email address in a variable. So an admin can set that up first. Next, a developer can build an app request to send the sender's email address to Highway to fetch that email's fraud status stored in Highway. The admin can then finish off the rule to move these conversations to that quarantine inbox if Highway responds to the app request indicating the sender's email is fraudulent. So as mentioned, we no longer need a connector or dynamic object to power this workflow. Rather, it's all accomplished in the context of our rules engine. So this can really harness a lot of fun workflows, powerful workflows for your team without necessarily needing to create a dynamic object as well. We're also going to begin supporting the utilization of third-party data in message templates. Front users will be able to compose messages faster with order statuses, shipment ETAs, reservation dates, and more without needing to manually copy the data from their third-party systems or dynamic objects. Users can set these message templates in rules to automatically update recipients on their order statuses and more. So again, with that create a draft rule action, you can have a message template that's automatically going to pull those the data from the third-party system, populate it in the message template, and the teammate can send that message off very quickly. So again, lots of power to bring data from other applications into front to speed up those processes. Finally, you're also going to be able to perform actions in your third-party systems without ever having to leave front. For example, you can set up a macro, which would be triggered by a click, to cancel an order in Shopify, initiate a refund to a customer, or cancel a reservation in your booking system. You can also use rules to perform actions in third-party systems continuously. And you can think of those actions as logging engagements in HubSpot, creating leads in Salesforce, starting an incident in PagerDuty. Now, we're going to be shifting into our last focus area, which is chatbot automation. We'd like to continue to invest in chatbot capabilities for scalable self-service support. First, we're going to enable visitors to be branched in a chatbot flow based on the visitor's data and dynamic variables. Admins can build paths based on things like the page the visitor is on, browser language, referral URL, and more. These enhancements are planned with the goal to improve the end user experience. So you can get a lot more relevant questions. They can get more of a tailored experience when going through these chatbot workflows based on different data points. And this can also improve the bot's ability to route and deflect. And then finally, it does unlock some basic targeting use cases as well for your chatbots. Next piece we'll be focused on is using an external knowledge base or URL to generate AI answers in front chat. Previously, AI answers could only be informed through a native front knowledge base. And this feature will provide a quick way for you to onboard information to power AI answers for chat by simply specifying a URL. So by providing that URL, we can pull in pages from a website, homegrown knowledge base, API or technical documentation site, and more. And please also note that AI answers can only reference one source at a time. So it'd either be referencing that front knowledge base or the external URL. And it cannot reference like multiple, I guess, external knowledge bases, just the one URL that you provide. And then this feature is currently in beta, and we're planning a release for it in June as well. And finally, we're going to be investing in more flexible ways to indicate whether you're indicate your availability when you're busy, stepping away from your computer, or going out of the office. So today in front, we have the two statuses, one being available and the other being out of office. And we heard some feedback that those two statuses were a bit stark. Maybe I'm not out of office. Maybe I'm just a bit like overloaded on the amount of conversations I'm working on at the moment. So we're going to be launching the new busy status, which is going to account for that gap between the available and out of office statuses. And finally, we're planning a few more updates to chatbots. First, we're going to be supporting the ability to include images and attachments in messages sent by your chatbots. So really great way to provide some more information if you're commonly sending out like PDFs to your clients as an example. Second, we're going to create offline hours for your chatbots to allow you to enable or disable the chatbot or certain paths based on business hours. And third is the addition of chatbot edit or access permissions to specify and control which teammates can edit the chatbot. Previously, in order for someone to be able to edit the chatbot, they needed to be a team or a global admin. Rather, we're launching the ability to control those permissions through custom roles and permissions in front. And before we do hop into the Q&A, we just wanted to highlight two more exciting updates with you all. First is going to be the ability to order inbox by highest priority. So as your team uses SLA rules, you'll be able to sort conversation lists by which conversations are closest to or furthest from breaching your SLA rules. This will help teams more reliably meet those SLA goals by being able to prioritize those ones that maybe are a bit too close to SLA breach. And one thing to note too, if you're not using SLA rules, then we'll just default back to the original sorting options of oldest or newest unreplied. And finally, we're launching the email signature management feature for companies that want tight control over their signatures for legal reasons. This was a highly requested update to allow companies to standardize their email signatures from a branding perspective. Examples of things you may want to control with signature enforcement can be having all signatures use the same font, layout, and color scheme. Maybe you want to control using only company approved phone numbers. And finally, you'll be able to control content like links to key resources or company websites, just to make sure everything is standardized across the entire team when utilizing signatures. And that will cover all of the slides that we have prepared for you today in terms of our product roadmap. So wanted to quickly thank you again for letting us walk you through all of the exciting things we have coming up in the next couple of quarters. And I think now we can switch over to the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. You have impeccable timing. We wanted to start the Q&A by like 15 minutes before end time, and you are at 16 minutes before end time. So thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so thank you for walking us through all those upcoming features. We got some really great questions from the audience. Joe has already answered a bunch of them. Thank you so much, Joe, from our product marketing team.
Fantastic.
Let's go through as many of the remaining ones as possible. Not sure if we'll get through all of them, but if we do not, then we will be sure to repost the unanswered questions in our community thread, and we will post the answers there as well. So make sure you follow up there if you're curious. I just put the link into the chat. All right, so Patrick, if there's anything you're not sure about, no worries. I know a lot of these features are still in development, or they might just be feature requests. So we can always find out more from our product team and follow up in the community thread if you're unsure about anything. All right, so let's get started. The first question is, do AI answers only pull from front templates, or can they also pull from other sources, like from our website, uploaded PDFs, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So it's generally what's going to be available on the site or the URL that you provide. So for example, let's say you like help.front.com. If that wasn't a front knowledge base, we could just point to that URL, and Front will then begin scanning all available pages that are hosted on that domain itself. So to my knowledge, it's going to be any content on the web pages itself. It won't necessarily read at like the attachments or PDFs that could be embedded further into onto those web pages.
Cool. Awesome. Very clear. Thank you. Next question is, does the front knowledge base API include dynamic variables, i.e., if a name changes, would dynamically update across all the articles that include that term?
And Helena, would you mind repeating that one more time? I just want to make sure I caught all the pieces there.
Does the and if you need more information, that's fine. We can repost it to the community as well.
Yeah, okay.
Does the knowledge base API include dynamic variables, i.e., if a name changes, would it dynamically update across all articles that include that term? So I think from like me as the knowledge base person, I think what they mean might be like, let's say the name of a feature changes, could we update all the instances where that name shows up across all of the articles, so that you're not having to go in one by one to do it? This is a huge struggle of mine as well, so I understand this pain.
Yes, absolutely. That's not a use case I have run into personally. I'm not familiar with as well. So I think this is one we can take offline, do some more digging on, and then follow up on that question as well for the team.
I have a feeling it's probably a feature request. As I'm not aware that we have that feature. I don't think that we do. And it's not, as far as I know, it's not planned for the roadmap, but a great feature request that I'm sure you'll get lots of votes on once it's up there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, next question is, for AI answers, what is the trigger to register a build response? I'm not sure if I understand exactly what that means, but maybe you do, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm assuming this will be the question for AI answers for email. So yeah, essentially then the way I've seen it operating today is there'll be a button on the composers, like next to the reply button. And then you can click a button to generate that response automatically. Before even clicking that button too, you'll have a preview of what the draft is going to look like. But essentially you can click the button to generate the response. A new composer draft window will open with all the data that AI would be creating or putting into that draft itself. And again, too, this is going to be a bit more tailored relative to our AI Compose feature today, because those AI answers are going to be informed by a knowledge base rather than just kind of general content.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Next question is, can reporting be categorized by role so no admin access is granted to several employees? Can, you want me to repeat that? Yes. Can reporting be categorized by role so essentially admin access isn't given to a bunch of employees?
I see. Yes. So with the custom roles in front, then you can grant just one-off permissions to teammates, to analytics, to where they can view analytics without necessarily making them a team or a company admin. So yeah, that's a permission that is available through our custom roles feature. And we can follow up with those resources after this community as well, after this presentation as well.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, for filtering for teammate groups, how can you include previous team members in those results, since if they're blocked or removed, they're not available to select under add members?
Yeah, that's a good question. To my knowledge, then that the behavior you mentioned of not being able to select those blocked or deleted teammates is going to remain true for those teammate groups as well. Just because with the teammate groups, it's really meant for those active teammates for you to be able to like monitor those ones that are still working out of front. So to my knowledge today, then there won't be any change into the behavior that you've mentioned previously with the rollout of the teammate groups in front.
Cool, cool. Okay, next question is, this is about AI tagging. Would churn risk work with the HubSpot integration in the AI tag?
I think we'll get some more information on this one as well.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, I think what you can do is simply create that churn risk tag, provide a detailed description or definition of that tag, begin to train the AI model on different conversations, indicating whether or not that tag should be applied to the conversation or not. And then from there, once it's trained enough, the AI will start applying those tags. So I think it'll more or less be informed by conversation data rather than data pulled directly from HubSpot.
Great. Next question is, will you include linking conversations to other, or sorry, will you include linking discussions to other conversations?
Yes, so that was ties back to the ticketing style workflows that we're going to be releasing as well. To where, let's say you have a conversation from a customer and you don't necessarily, to create an internal task or an internal to-do, rather than creating a linked conversation through an email, you can create a linked discussion for just an internal task between front teammates. So that is something we are planning to be rolling out.
Perfect.
Yeah, one I'm very excited for, because I think it's going to harness a lot of like collaboration and organization in terms of like tasks or to-do items you need to do internally.
Yes, yes, that is how it aligns with how people are working in front. Okay, are there plans to allow for more than one level of linking with linked conversations?
Great question. So yeah, I think what they're saying is, let's say you have the parent, then the child, and then the grandchild relationship, essentially, between the different linking. So multiple levels. It's like Inception. Yeah, today, then from what I've experienced with our product team, we won't have the 3 levels of linking conversations. It'll essentially just be a parent-child relationship with those linked conversations and discussions.
Gotcha. Next question is, what is the difference between the new AI rule and normal front rules in regards to tagging?
Great question. Yeah, so with today, with like our normal tagging rules, you have to be a bit predictive or anticipate the different keywords or phrases that pertain to a tag. So like today, I would create a rule of when an inbound message is received, if the message body contains billing, refund, invoice, then apply the billing tag. So again, I have to like kind of anticipate or predict the different keywords that pertain to the billing tag. Now, the difference is with AI tagging is you provide a definition, so you can still provide those keywords in the definition, but essentially you have to do a one-time training to where AI will begin suggesting some conversations it wants to apply the billing tag to. You train that model, usually takes about a few minutes usually, it's like to train that model. Once that's completed, from there, you don't need to do any further work. AI is going to then begin supplying the billing tag where it sees it being relevant. So it's kind of like a one-time lift in terms of the AI tagging aspect of train the model, and it goes from there. With today's rules of creating those keyword tagging rules, you kind of have like to maintain the list. If you see gaps, then sometimes you have to like go update those rules and continue like maintain them. But like I said, I think AI tagging is more of like a one-time lift, while the tagging rules today require a bit more maintenance and prediction.
That is super exciting. I know I've already heard from a lot of customers that they're very, very excited for this feature to come out.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's been a lot of fun to play around with.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question. With connectors slash dynamic objects, will we be able to look up data from our own internal databases in addition to third-party sources?
Fantastic question. And I love that this person is already calling it connectors. So great job. Perfect. Yeah. So assuming that internal database has an open API to that we can send requests. So like, for example, it's to get contact data. Assuming you have that open API, we can send the request to, then yes, absolutely. We can fetch that information, pull it back into front with connectors.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Um, Next question is the auto workflow needs dev team assistance, or will the admin be able to do it on their own?
Yes. So in terms of sending like the app requests or requests from directly from a rule, you don't necessarily need a dev team to do that. If you have experience with sending API requests and setting up that authentication, things like that, then yes, you absolutely have the ability to build those app requests yourself as well.
Great. Yeah, I know not all teams have access to developers, but it does require some level of tech savviness, but it's not impossible for like a tech savvy admin to do.
Yes.
So it's learnable and doable.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, okay, so next question is, are there plans for AI for email auto sending on its own instead of just an auto draft?
Good question. I know our product team is considering adding the automation aspect of auto sending those AI responses, but it's not officially planned on the roadmap today.
Gotcha. Next question is, would we be able to pull recipient email as a dynamic variable?
Yes, absolutely. So like who the message was sent to, that's absolutely possible to do through dynamic variables today.
Great. Next question is, we would like to create a linked conversation, but restrict participants. Most of the teammates on the parent thread, we do not always want to have access to the linked conversation.
I see. Great question. Yeah, I think that's an important use case of kind of, yeah, restricting access or visibility to those linked conversations, discussions, if they are a bit more sensitive. Let me do some testing and follow up on that because I do want to give you the most absolute answer. And it's a use case I haven't played around with yet. So let me do some digging and we can follow up in the community on that piece.
Great. Next one is for KB articles, aside from the link, is there a way to share the article directly in the discussion without having to link to another area to view? So I think this means like embedding the article within the discussion.
Yep. And within internal discussions. So yeah, so like today, when you're composing an email message or like a chat message, you can we have a composer plugin to help send articles with the title and a hyperlink to that article itself. With discussions, that's not supported today, but I think that's a great feature request for our team to build. But then nonetheless, you can simply just like grab the URL to that article you want to share, post it as a comment in the discussion itself.
I think maybe what they mean is like not just the link, but to have the actual article show up without having to leave,
Ah,
clicking a link to an external page.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah, that's not supported today, but I think, like I said, great feature request. And apologies for misunderstanding the original question there.
No worries. Thank you. So we have a time for a couple more, maybe two more. Question is there at the moment a short list of confirmed third-party tools that will be part of this new workflow update at launch?
I'm not too sure about like a confirmed shortlist, but then again, the feature that we're building it with the intention of being flexible. So even if we don't necessarily have like a native connector that you integrate with today or like a tool you use today, they are going to be built in a way to where you can send requests to any app essentially. So yeah, like I said, if we don't build a native connector, you'll still have that flexibility to build your own and integrate with that system, so long it allows us to integrate with it.
Gotcha. Great. And then last question that we have time for today. Will the busy status make it so that your tickets that you've already started working on aren't assigned out to other associates, even if the given client reaches out through the thread while you're busy?
I see. Great question. And I know we're still kind of like refining the definition of exactly what what the busy status is going to do. So we'll go ahead and take that suggestion, or I guess request for that, and share that with our product team, because I know we are still working on it. But I think you can think of it as like it's not as strict of out of office to where anything new that comes in is going to get automatically unassigned. It's kind of like that middle ground. So, but like I said, we're still working on that definition, and we'll share that feedback with the product team.
Okay, great. Thank you, Patrick. That's all the questions that we have time for live today. There's a couple more that we'll take and post to the community thread. Thank you so much, Patrick, for walking us through all of that, answering the questions, and thank you to the audience for joining us today. Let's continue the conversation over in Front Community. And I think we have one slide just kind of showing you what that thread looks like. I'm going to be following up with a ton more information over there, including the recording. So feel free to send that link out to your teammates who couldn't make it, or if you need to review anything, they can also ask questions there directly in the post. That will be updated today or tomorrow once the recording is ready. So thank you again, Patrick, for sharing our roadmap today. And we really hope to see everyone again at the next roadmap webinar. And have a great week, everyone. Thank you.
You're one.